Let's talk about what resonates with people. What most people don't understand is they try to out-logic emotion. People buy on emotion for what? Logical reasons. You don't overcome emotions with logic. Somehow, I became a virtual, digital presence. I have no idea. I'm looking at myself thinking I'm a middle-aged mutant turtle. I remember Gary Vaynerchuk, his brother AJ, asked me to help them with their sports agency. Now that made sense to me, so I told him to meet me in the Nike suite. And I was with AJ at the time and a guy named Jim Leyritz, which I had a radio show with. So we were doing that at the Super Bowl. And everybody in the Nike suite went crazy. They're like, oh my God, this is 10 years ago. Gary V's here. Now you could see my mindset because I looked at AJ Vaynerchuk and I said, who does he play for? And he's like, are you kidding me? That's my brother. He doesn't play for anyone. And Gary told me at that time that I should start building a digital presence, that I should start building a legacy. And I personally thought that the social media scene was about likes. And that really was not aligned with my mission, because what I saw with social media, just from my own kids and their friends, was this huge energy gap of what I stand for, which is I am happy, I am healthy, I am wealthy, I am worthy. What am I doing to interfere with it? With a whole genre of this is what I want people to think I am. You know, the digital Great Gatsbys of the world. The good news about the digital Great Gatsbys compared to like Vanderbilt historically, they don't have any money to lose. At least Vanderbilt actually spent his money on things he didn't need to impress people he didn't like, which is this huge energy gap. When we want to build a brand, especially a small business, a mid-sized business, what we want to create for that legacy is a community. And there's one successful formula in building a community. It's to find people that are going to, one, buy from you, but more importantly, sell for you for life. That's the true businesses that create legacies. And if you're playing the long game in this viral world, you're guaranteed success if your marketing strategy is based off of building community aligned with your essence or your culture. And so there's a formula to do this, and we see a trend with AI and other technologies today of what's called dark social. Anyone ever hear of dark social? Good, one person. And that's about, I just learned about it myself. I'm like, that's exactly what it is. Dark social is actually how you build that community. It's the people in your community. Today, people pay a ton because I have 1 million followers on TikTok or Instagram or a great presence in LinkedIn. But that's not where those brands are making their money. They're making their money because I have a huge community of people who make decisions, power sponsors and decision makers that buy from me and sell for me, but you never know where they're actually coming from because they're not in that statistics of the likes, the followers. They're in this, on Clubhouse, and they're on different chat rooms, and they're in different areas, and they'll say, oh, have you ever read this book by David Meltzer? Have you ever seen him speak? And all of a sudden it'll appear as SEO, and the companies today are paying for people that don't have that. And in fact, it's quite easy. If I wanted to have 12 million followers, let me just tell you this right now, and I have some friends who do, I have plenty of money to buy 12 million followers. And there's stupid companies out there that will pay me because I have likes. And those likes can be bought too, by the way. And so you're seeing a trend of the most powerful individuals are the ones who actually have a community. Now, I go on a lot of interviews. I have huge shows, TV shows, podcasts, interviews, and it's really interesting. I'll give, anyone ever hear of Lauren Bostic? Lauren Bostic has a great podcast. It's a women's podcast. She started blogging at San Diego State, and I had met her. I went on her podcast. It's called Female Confidential. Yeah, and I love her. I love her. I was helping mentor her husband's how I met her. And at that time, as you see, I'm on Bill U, Ed Milet, all of my friends, these supposedly big podcasts. And I go on the Female Confidential, and I just mentioned my book, as I do, and this is years ago, and I said, if anybody would like my book for free, email me, and I gave my email, which I'll give to you, by the way, if you want it, david@dmeltzer.com. I'll sign the book, I'll pay for shipping, I'll pay for the book. And I've done this on Gary's show, on Ed's show, on Bill Yu's show, the biggest shows. And I've never got but 1 or 2 people emailing me. So I'm like, no problem. I get on this show, hundreds of people email me, and they keep coming. Like a year later, somebody hears it. That's dark social. Everybody knows Gary and Ed and Tom. Hardly anyone, unless you're in that social silo, knows Lauren Bostic. And I started to pay attention to how do I build this community of people that I want to influence. My mission of 1 billion people, over 1 billion people. How am I going to get there? I'm going to find 1,000 powerful people that I can empower to empower 1,000 to empower 1,000. 1,000 times 1,000, 1,000,000. 1,000,000 times thousands of billion. That's over 1/8 of the earth, or about 1/8 of the earth. That's a collective consciousness of abundant people that I can help make a lot of money to help a lot of people and have a lot of fun. That's what my capabilities are. I know how to make a lot of money. I didn't always know how to keep it. I went bankrupt over $100 million. I usually say I lost more money than most people have ever earned or will earn. But I know how to make money for the sake of helping people and having fun. And the reason those 3 things are important to me and my community and my mission is I've never met anybody who makes a lot of money for the sake of helping others and has fun doing it that isn't happy. And there's a way to do that. And so when we change our perspective as marketers, and it doesn't just for personal brands, it's for products, solutions, and services. You can build a community of people around your product, service, or solution. To me, that's what Apple's magic is they have more people buying from them and selling for them. I've never gone into an Apple store and bought anything. So I've never talked to an Apple store. I've looked at stuff when the new things come out, but I've never done that. I remember sitting on an airplane with my IBM ThinkPad in a RIM 957 pager, CEO, by the way, of Samsung's data division at the time in 1999. And this dude next to me opens his laptop and it worked immediately. And I was like, whoa. I go, I wish I was an artist or a teacher. I'd love to use that MacBook. He's like, what are you talking about? I go, well, I need, Word and PowerPoint, Excel. He's like, you can do that on a Mac. And he sold me my first Macintosh. I've spent in business and in personal millions of dollars, as probably you have, if you own a business in Apple products. I've never talked to an Apple sales rep. So how do we do this? Let's talk about what resonates with people. What most people don't understand is they try to out-logic emotion. People buy on emotion for what? Logical reasons. You don't overcome emotions with logic. And so a lot of marketers are trying to utilize the logic of I have this many followers, this many likes. That's logical. But what about the emotional side? Why are people so drawn to the Skinny Confidential, to Lauren Bostic? Because they either love her or hate her. And 10% of the people, no matter what, are going to love you. 10%, no matter what, are going to hate you. But you have to be consistent and honest. What's the problem with consistency and honesty? It makes you really annoying. If any of you are parents out there, you know that when you continually tell your kids the same thing and you're honest, they hate it. So do your employees, by the way. And when we market, it's the opposite. It's a necessity. You need to be repetitive and honest about yourself, because if you fall into this gap, this is what I want you to think I am as a product, service, or solution, all it does is create interference between you and the truth. And the truth vibrates the fastest. Only can be aware of that which vibrates equal to or less than you. Your thoughts vibrate, your thought of truth vibrates the fastest. So what does that mean in marketing? To build a legacy, a culture, and a community that buys from you and sells for you. It's you need to capture the actual essence of what you have. The capability. Yes, you need to align it with what's doing well, what's stable, and what you think is doing well. But so many people miss the mark. They're just, in the old days, calling it a feature and benefit jump. They don't even do that. They just oversell, back-end sell, lie, manipulate, and cheat. And the energy's off. If your energy's off, forget hooks. Jab, jab, hook. Forget any of the techniques that we use to gather the short-term attention of people to get them interested. Because if the energy's off, that frequency is what causes people to stay on it. And you need to learn to capture that. You don't have to use it. I tell people all the time, you want to start a podcast, they tell me, can you help me start a podcast? I say, first, before we even talk about it, do 10 episodes. Two things will happen. One, you'll be in the top 1% of all podcasts because most people quit before they get to 10 episodes. And two, you actually will get a feel for how you make people feel, which is what we're trying to capture, your essence. Because if you can capture that and stay consistent in the essence of your product, service, or solution, maybe your personal brand, maybe your company, whatever it is, that's what's gonna resonate with people. And defining what resonates is important too. I thought that when people said, does that resonate with you? Is it intuitively connected, that feeling there for you? That it had to be, I strongly agree with it for it to resonate with me. And then I started doing research on intuition because I figured, how do people buy on this emotion with intuition? If it resonates with them, I need them really to love me, no matter what. And I started thinking about old Dave that lost $100 million. I'll give you an idea how I did it. Has anyone ever played the game craps? I used to play craps all the time and spend way too much money doing it, but I'm at the craps table and some people who have played craps may have had this feeling, God talked to me a lot. And I've got my dice and he's like, hard 8, which means double 4s. God told me hard 8, I swear. It's a calling. And I'm thinking, okay, $1,000 on hard 8. And I go ahead and roll, no hard 8. How can God, it was intuition, I know it was true. And then I started realizing that intuition is more than just strongly something you agree with. It could also be strongly disagree, but it doesn't know man-made constructive time. It knows infinite time. That's why if you gamble and God talks to you like he does me, that you may roll 3 or 4 more times, then it's a hard 8. Because he's just elevating your awareness to hard 8. Well, think about that in terms of marketing. We're just elevating your awareness to your product, service, or solution or brand. It's not linear in time. So what happens is people think you need an instant response when content is perpetual and the silo or community you create with your content is especially powerful in that perpetuation. What do I mean by that? So if we capture our essence is the first step. Don't have to use it, but we have to have a strategy to capture as much of us that we can. I'll give you an example. My most popular video has over 40 million views. And the reason is that I had set up in my house an arm with an iPhone, a separate iPhone, in case I was close enough to be able to feel something that I thought other people would learn how I felt. So there was a morning, I wake up at 4 a.m. and my 17-year-old daughter's car was not outside. That's a horrible feeling, by the way. And so I got scared, which as a parent, when parents are scared, they have a natural response to the fear. It's called anger. And it ruins our relationship with our kids, by the way, because we don't know how to tell someone I'm scared instead of so being who I was at the time, I called my daughter about 18 times, trying to get her, getting more mad because I was more scared. And then finally she picked up and I screamed at her. Where the are you? In my bedroom? Huh? Yeah, I'm in my bedroom. You woke me up. What's the matter? Where's your car? Oh, Dad, you told me when kids are drinking to Uber home and leave my car. So I listened to you. I almost screwed up the relationship, right? How many times our kids are listening to us, we're not listening, we're overreacting, responding to fear. And so immediately after that, I went and sat at my desk with my arm in my IG phone, and I recorded how I was feeling and told the story. Not Dave Meltzer genius, right? Not all the stuff I know about business, how to scale a business, how to define your timing and risk tolerance, all the different things I've learned in law school, business school, running some of the biggest companies in the world, in consulting with them. None of that. Those get like 400 likes on LinkedIn. But this was real feeling, and everybody identified with it. Now I'm blessed because with 40 million people, I do get a small portion of the people that are in my community that also appreciate it, added value to the personal aspect of the business advice that I normally give. That's an example of capturing your essence. That's what really resonates. And you can do that with products and services and solutions if you don't oversell, back-end sell, lie, manipulate, or cheat, or try to create something that I want people to think I am instead of this is who I am, or this is what my product does, or solution. Doesn't do everything. Those are the ones that work. Now the next part is easy, which is what? To create a team that modifies it to the different platforms that exist. Right? There's different forms of length, there's different pieces of the content that can be used on different platforms according to your objective. And guess what? Those prices are going down. It's so much easier to modify today. What I do today compared to 10 years ago in the capture and modification aspects is about 1/10,000th of the cost. I remember flying, I used to do vlogs. When Gary was doing vlogs, I was doing vlogs, and I took a whole team of 5 people to the Miami Dolphin facility, interviewed Tannenbaum and Higgins and Mr. Ross, and it was so wonderful. Paid about $100,000 for this content, right? All these super expensive cameras and microphones, and everybody traveling from California to Miami. And we were coming home, and I could see my head of the media. Like, what's the matter? No audio. So that's why you see so many Miami Dolphin B-roll. I gotta find some return on my investment. Today, I can do that exact same thing pretty much for the cost of the flight with one person in a better quality and have better consistency in the audio. So we want to capture our essence, the way we make people feel, because we feel that way, whether it resonates to the positive or negative. What do I mean by that? You are made sometimes by the people that hate your shit. I'm telling you, my first book came out years ago. Goodreads was brand new. Amazon was the leader in book sales. And I was so excited. The head reviewer at Goodreads, first review came out, said, "This book sucks. David Meltzer's an idiot. He thinks you can talk to water and change the molecular structure of water. Don't read this book," basically. I literally cried. I was so fearful that the book was ruined, and it was my heart and soul. I spent a lot of time on that first book, and I cried to my wife. I'm like, shit, nobody's gonna read it. And she's like, it's okay, it's okay. You wrote it for yourself, and that's who you are. It's your essence. That's what you teach. What happened was that people who agreed with her didn't buy my book for sure. So that saved me a whole bunch of negative reviews of other people going, this guy's an idiot, you think you can talk to water and change the molecular structure. But what occurred was the lesson of legacy that I never thought, which was all these people that didn't give a shit, didn't know, or would never buy my book, because Dave Meltzer, who the hell's that? Who cares about Jerry Maguire or whatever I do? All of a sudden, all these people read that review and said, oh, F you, lady. I believe you could talk to water and change them. I'm going to read this guy's book. And my sales went like this. All because it didn't resonate with somebody. And so we want to capture the parts of us that move people in one direction or the other and appreciate the difference. The third step of creating this legacy is amplification. So a lot of people think the only way that you can amplify it is pay for SEO or ad spend. I disagree wholly. I don't think if you're a small business especially that you should have any ad spend. It's a waste. There's so much better way to amplify your message by showing up in person, capturing that, posting more of your essence, having other people buy from you and sell for you and post for you. Way more than any ad spend that you can create as a small business. When you learn that, you can add ad spend to it by creating lookalike audience to the people that buy from you and sell for you. Now you have a statistical certainty in what you're doing. Amplification is in this dark web, this dark social side of things that is not tracked today but will be tracked in the future. I know because of my participation not only in all the different platforms, but in things like this, that when AI catches up to what I'm doing, that already LinkedIn has picked up on it in other companies, that there's a difference of engagement, and they're picking up on who micro, nano influencers have these great followings where people will buy from them and sell for them is far more valuable than a Super Bowl commercial. And so, although some small companies feel that a Super Bowl commercial will be the mecca of advertising for them and their whole life will change if they have a Super Bowl commercial or come on Dave Meltzer's podcast, and I can't tell you how many people, just introduce me to so-and-so. If I got on his podcast, everything would change. No, it won't. It won't. And so that third step of amplification is through community, through relationships, through frequency. Your neighborhood is that frequency of your essence, your capability, skills, knowledge, and desire as a person, or capabilities, and align it with what you think will be doing well in the future, what's stable, and what's doing well today. That's a mathematical formula of success for any business. That's why you'll build this community and the longevity that will cause it to go viral without playing craps with your money on an ad spend. Now, finally, to finish up, you have a strategy for capture daily, 7 days a week. Strategy for modification, inexpensive, outsourced, or you do it, whoever, but it's very inexpensive, the modification today. And then the amplification is through, things happen very slowly and all of a sudden when you're amplifying things. One of the hardest things to understand in traditional marketing and today's digital marketing is that when we put out an ad or we amplify our content, our advertisements, our marketing, the evidence immediately will never be aligned with where we want to be or better. Most of the time it's contrary to where we want to be or better. Why? Because in marketing, things happen very slowly, then all of a sudden. Because you have to be consistent and honest, and you have to examine your behaviors, not the outcomes that occur from your behaviors. That will never get you there. If your behaviors are not aligned with where you want to be or better, you're not learning or giving meaning to your past aligned with it, you will limit the self-image of your brand, product, service, or solution. You'll never overachieve your own self-image. You'll never overachieve that imagination that you have, that expansive. But you have to concentrate on these behaviors. Capture, modify, amplify. Why? Because the future of all culture, community, is in a social silo today. A social silo is how everything will work in the future, which means that in this dark social web, people are going to become aware of you because you're omnipresent and people are buying from you and selling for you. So they're going to say, hey, have you ever heard of David Meltzer? No. Are they going to go to David Meltzer's website? No. What are they going to do? They're going to look me up on their favorite platform. And I'm going to get an opportunity with my social silo, my perpetual database, my perpetual content. I'm going to get an opportunity for them to go down the David Meltzer rabbit hole. And the longer they spend, depending on what platform, it could be as little as 3 seconds, could be as little as 8 seconds, depending on the platform. The minute they spend more than 3 seconds in my rabbit hole or 8 seconds in my rabbit hole because they either love me or hate me, or they're more interested than interesting, immediately the economics of every platform is to what? Feed that person David Meltzer for free. Now I get some data, now I can pay an ad spend because I know who's being fed David Meltzer. All those people that love me and hate me. And I'm increasing my statistical success in not only capturing, modifying, and amplifying, but creating this social silo. That's why I have such a unique experience in my life that some people here at Adweek are like in tears coming up to me. Oh my God, you've changed my life. You're everywhere. And most of the people walk by me like, who the fuck is that? That's the truth. But I've created a social silo. And I have every platform feeding the people that love me and hate me more David Meltzer for free. And there's 7.6 billion people, so I don't need to get to everybody. I want to get to certain types of people. And so when we're looking in the long run to understand how things truly are viral, it's not the 40 million views that did go viral on one video. It's the consistent every day, persistent without quit, pursuit of the potential that I have of who I am, not who I want people to think I am. Don't be a virtual Great Gatsby. Don't waste your money on advertising, overselling, back-end selling, lying and manipulating what you don't have yet or do have. That's not going to work. In the long run, things will happen very slowly and then all of a sudden. And when they do, I promise you, if you capture, modify, amplify, and perpetuate your content correctly, you will make so much money. You'll be able to help so many people. And it is so much fun. Change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. Change the way you look at marketing, your marketing will change. Change the way you look at your essence, that will change as well. Do it for the sake of what you desire. Align your past with where you want to be or better. Keep analyzing the behaviors, and you will build a community, you will build a culture, and you will literally have a legacy that goes far beyond your own human experience. God bless everybody. I appreciate you. Thank you so much.